Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Saturday night series, the 9 o'clock confessions, today on the 27th of June 2020. We are delighted to be hosting Reverend Geoffrey Njenga, who serves at the All Saints Cathedral, Nairobi in Kenya, and Christine Kipsang, an advocate and a divorce lawyer who serves at the High Court of Kenya. As is our routine and procedure, we will start off with the national anthem, which is the prayer for our nation. We have been privileged for the last two sessions to have a priest and reverend with us, and so he will close for us at the end with the blessings. So ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with our national anthem in Kiswahili, where you are. E Mungu nguvu yetu is our prayer for today. Let's give one more minute so that we can admit the colleagues who are getting on board kindly. Then we can have our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, we may now proceed with our national anthem. E Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. I welcome you once again, ladies and gentlemen, and our speakers, Reverend Geoffrey Njenga, who serves at the All Saints Cathedral, and Christine Kipsang, who's an advocate of the High Court, to our session today on the 27th of June 2020 in our Divorce Meditation series. And today we are actually focusing on divorce mediation. And we're looking at divorce and the marriage assets, the marriage of the church and society, the law and society. The marriage assets we are looking at are the children, relationships, and property. To kick us off will be Reverend Geoffrey Njenga with his message on the topic, and then followed by Christine Kipsang. Then we will be able to take any questions, or we will be able to receive any comments on the discussion for today. Reverend Geoffrey Njenga, how are you today?
I'm okay, and how are you?
I am brilliant, and it's a delight to see you, and thank you for joining us for the third episode of our divorce meditation. You bring in such heavy messages to this discussion, which we do hope will enable mediators to be able to serve families better as part of our Jali Familia pillar, which is our pillar number 1 on family wealth mediation. So Reverend Njenga, today we are focusing on the marriage asset specifically. Last week, you took us through the church and how it journeys through with the couple so that they can actually get married. You preside over the marriage. And then we said, okay, sometimes they say it's time to go. And you said, okay, fine. If they say it's time to go, you work with them so that they can see if they really don't have to go separate ways. But if they really have to go, and that's where we are today, Reverend Njenga, could you please walk us through in your 15 minutes? How does the church handle this? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I'm glad to see those who I can see. I can see Christine. I'm glad to see her, and her Mombasa background looks very nice. So thank you for this time once again. What did we say last week? We said that marriage is God's idea. I know that some people claim they're the ones who fell in love, and indeed you did. Some of us fairly hopelessly fall in love, but marriage is God's idea. And it all began with him. And it is absolutely important to remember that this thing began with God. In the beginning, God created man and put him in that wonderful Garden of Eden, a pleasant, a very nice place with everything paid for by God himself. And all the man needed to do was to name animals. It was a beautiful job, but he was lonely. And God then decided to solve that problem by creating the woman. And we know when she showed up, he couldn't contain himself. He screamed, "Wow, what a delight." And for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined together with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And what God has put together, lest no man separate. That's really the beginning of this thing. So it is God's idea. And therefore, if we have trouble with it, it's always good to go back to the designer. It's like a vehicle. When a vehicle is created, so to speak, there's the maker's manual. And for marriages, the maker's manual is the Bible. And we need to go back there. I know we run into all manner of things, including legal opinions, but the first bus stop ought to be the Bible, because that's where the maker has written all the things which we need to do to get our marriages to work. Now, the other thing that we need to remember is that marriage is private and also communal. It is private because the two shall become one flesh. They become one flesh. And that means that there's a contract between two, and it is a very personal and very intimate relationship. Because when you say, "I do," the heavens say, "We agree," and therefore the two have become one. But it is also communal. And before I move out of that, the Bible says God hates divorce. So even when it may become necessary for that to happen, or when it is the reality that we have to deal with, because we cannot run away from reality, I think we need to remember that God hates divorce. You may take that choice, but you need to know choices have consequences. Now, marriage is also communal, because when the two get married, in most cases, children come and they get into this community, which began with two people, and now there are 3 and 4 and 5 and whatever number that you may choose to go for. Other than children, you have siblings who become part of this relationship. And then you have parents who become part of this relationship. And then you have extended family members who become part of this relationship. And then you have friends near and far who also become part of this relationship. And indeed, especially in our African setup, the entire community is part of this marriage, this relationship, this community. You become part of this community. For that reason, therefore, good people, when then you choose to end this thing, you need to remember that it is not yours alone, that this thing belongs to more than you, and more so in the African context. You know, we say a child is brought up by the community, and that's powerful, because it brings you into this communal life. So as you practice your marriage, and before we reach to divorce, it is how we practice the marriage, how we live the married life, that will determine whether your marriage will survive or your marriage will experience difficulties. So you need to be very careful how you practice the marriage, and should you then even begin to think about divorce, you need to think very carefully what impact this is likely to have on the two of you, because definitely you will never be the same again, because the two shall become one. And separating those two is obviously a difficult, if not an impossible proposition. So you need to ask yourself, how does this affect me? How does it affect the other person or the other partner? How does this affect the children? How does this affect our parents who are part of this? How does it affect the siblings who are also part of this? And how does it affect the entire society? So it is a very strong proposition that cannot be taken lightly. Just like in getting into marriage itself, the Bible is very clear. It should not be taken lightly. And I think part of the problem is that most of the people are getting into this simply because there is a spark somewhere in their heart, and you begin to feel this attraction for this individual, and then therefore you rush into it. I think you should take time to know her. I think there's a song that says that, take time to know her. I'm sure Wanjiru Shira can probably sing that song. She sings in the church and I can see her. So take time to know him, take time to know her, because when you get into this thing, it is very difficult to get out. It is not as easy as opening the door to go to to go to court, and then you get a divorce paper and go out. That paper may not necessarily be very helpful. Now, therefore, when you are thinking about ending your marriage, and that's maybe the reality that you're faced with, for whatever, and you may have very many reasons for doing that, you need to consider all these things, that this thing is a very, very serious proposition. And as a priest, I would urge you, I would tell you many times over, don't. I am not saying it can't happen, it does. That's the reality. But I would try the best way I know. And last time we talked about all the things I would try to do to assist a couple that is going through challenges, not to end the marriage, but to try and save the marriage. And the simple reason is this. We say that we serve a powerful God. Is God not able to deal with whatever it is that is putting you asunder or threatening to anyway? Is our God not able to deal with that? And when I talk about mediation, I say mediation is for the willing. And if those people are willing to get into mediation, you can solve many problems. There's so also giving yourself to God, if you're believers in God, and most of us are, and the two of you decide this thing can work because we serve a God who is able to do abundantly, exceedingly, much more than we think or even ask. Am I suggesting it's easy? No, not on your life. It is not. Because some of the things that those people are dealing with are serious matters. They are heavy issues. But why do marriages fail? Sometimes for very, very simple reasons. And I know these reasons can go and grow into many other things, but marriages fail for very many reasons, some of them fairly simple, including selfishness. And you can define that in many ways, or it can be manifested in many ways, that you become selfish. And you can remember when you are courting, you're willing to give everything. You know, in fact, when we stand before the priest and before God and choose to get married, you say, all that I am, I give to you. All that I have, I give to you. So what happens later? You said you will give everything. You said not just you give what you have, you will give yourself. And then gradually you begin to drift from that commitment which you made. So selfishness is one of those reasons why marriages fail. And that selfishness leads to a lot of things which become very destructive. Another thing is not paying attention to small things. In marriage, Small things are the big things. Small things are the big things. And you can remember, those who are married, when you are courting, you are willing to share everything and even to give what you didn't have. You would steal money from your parents to buy her gifts or to buy him something. You are paying attention to small details. You would carry her handbag, and be very careful about those kind of things. What does she want and what does he want? You cared for small things. And then you get married and you forget to open the door. Does the hand get broken or what? Small things. Not listening to what is not said. When I talk to particularly the young to be married couples or individuals, I tell them, especially for men, to learn to listen to what is not said. And sometimes they have struggles with that. But you've got to learn to decipher, to think through, to get to read the body language. Many men become blind to that. Our ladies sometimes say many things by just keeping quiet. And if you're not able to decipher that, you can get in trouble. Very much so. And also men, when he comes home and he's not talking, you don't take it for granted. You don't take it that it will happen. Try and discover. Listen to what is not said. And don't take each other for granted. Taking each other for granted. As you can see, these things are not that big, but many marriages simply begin to fall apart for these kind of reasons. You are not taking each other seriously. Just a while ago, I was watching a program on NTV about widowers, men who have lost their wives. And you can see on reflecting back as those men talk about their relationships with their wives now who are dead, that they can see that some of them did not see very basic things. So don't take each other for granted. It's possible that that person may not be there tomorrow. There's one who said he did not know what shopping was about, that he has to learn to do shopping. And all along she would do the shopping and perhaps you didn't even compliment her. Or, the other one said, came to the bed and it was not made because, she always made the bed. So don't take each other for granted. And then we pursue other interests. Now let's, which then become third parties. Those interests may be friends, it may be family, it may be relatives, whatever it is that causes you to drift away from each other. Other things will build or will take advantage of those basic things. Even other relationships, we talked about adultery last time as one of the big problems that we have, and promiscuity, which is destroying marriages. But it does not just happen. It is because you've taken each other for granted. It is because you've allowed other interests to come in between the two of you. And then you drift off from each other. And that then multiplies, becomes bigger problems. Now, through this, marriages fail. And though we would not want that to happen, it is a fact of life. So what happens? And this evening, we are focusing on children and other assets, or children and assets. My suggestion and a heavy recommendation is you avoid litigation at all costs. And last time, we talked a lot about why litigation is destructive. It is a win-lose thing, process. Litigation is a win-lose process that does not give you a chance to ever come together. When you go for litigation, the lawyers are taught to fight for the rights of their clients' rights. And the judge is obligated on the evidence and the law to grant whoever he thinks, in his or her considered opinion, has won. And therefore, the parties then will spend a lot of time through their advocates painting each other as dark as they can. defining the devil incarnate in the other, in their relationship. That does not give you a chance at all ever to consider coming back together, or the chance is next to nil. Litigation, we said, is very expensive. It is very destructive. It invites all those people that we've been talking about, in fact, the entire society, to then partake of your dirty linen. I mean, we've been watching Linturi's drama in court, and it's ugly. It's very, very ugly. We don't need to know these things, but that is the nature of litigation. So I know Christine is a divorce lawyer, and she will fight for you with every breath in her life. But I would encourage the couple not to go that way. And the reason for that is because there is an alternative, and the alternative is mediation. That whether you've been through divorce, whether you are headed to divorce, whether you are considering divorce, you can talk about those two key things which are important to you. You can come together and in peace, because mediation is about sustainable peace. You can come together and discuss that matter with each other and agree how you're going to live with the children who will never leave you, unless of course they die. And even if they died, they are still your children. You can agree together how best to take care of them, whether that be support, maintenance, whether it would be custody, whether it would be their education, their medical, whatever it is, whatever needs. Those are your children, and they shall remain so forever. And remember, it is their future at stake. You have lived your life to some extent. Remember, it is their future you need to secure. And because they are yours, both of you, you can do that without fighting, without hating each other, without creating animosity, without opening up things they don't need to know. We don't need to know why your marriage did not work. But you can be adult enough, you can be big enough to come out in the open and look for a third party to help you deal with that. So, and I have been involved in this over and over and over, where we make peace. You know, the fact that the marriage has failed does not mean that you need to remain enemies. You don't have to be enemies. Yes, you tried it. It didn't work. And you have chosen now, and nobody can force you to remain, so you don't have to be enemies. So you can sit together and talk like adults that you are, how to take care of those children, not just for now, but also in the future. They will be baptized, they will go through their own marriages, they will go through all manner of things, baptism, they will have children who are going to be your grandchildren. You need to see this in the long term and determine whichever way you choose to go, you will support each other in raising these children the best way possible in this new normal, because it's a new normal, but it doesn't have to destroy them. It's their future, not yours. It is theirs. So that's one. The second thing is in dealing with the assets, the land that you bought together. You can discuss that together again and agree who takes what, the cars that you have, the houses which you have. And these are the things which keep people in court forever. And they become so bitter and angry. You don't have to be. I have dealt with situations where, you know, some of them have in discussion, you know, one has been left in the marital home, the other one has taken the business, another one has taken a particular piece of property, the land, the other one has gone to a house. All these things you can do with the help of a mediator, a professional mediator can help you. Now, why is that important? That is important because it will then, once you agree together which way to go and how to handle these things, then you're not angry. You're not bitter. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to walk around with bitterness and anger in your heart. you can then continue with the life that you have chosen going forward. And you know what? When you leave each other in peace, there can be a chance that you can reflect about this marriage. You can think about that other partner, the spouse that has gone. And who knows, you may just discover this is the person who was made for you and drift back. Because you didn't destroy each other. Look at the one I have talked about, Linturi and the wife. Why shred each other in public? We don't need to know. They can easily agree on the house in Runda. They can easily agree on the house in Meru or whatever, and all the other things, and their children, and drift if they have to without shredding each other. And you stand a chance of reflecting and probably coming back. And even if you didn't, then you live at peace. You see, bitterness is like taking poison and expecting another person to die. It doesn't work that way. If you take poison, yes, you can choose to, but if you take poison, it is you who will die. And if you then decide to live the rest of your life with bitterness and anger, you're simply, they say, you're even limiting your life. So you can you can live again. Who knows about tomorrow? So those are my thoughts. I think I'll stop there. I have taken a little more than you gave me, Wangari. Can I end there? And perhaps I'll have some questions.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for your introduction. And in each of the sessions we engage with you, we learn and relearn. And it's a great delight that we are able to hear from you from the context of the church. Colleagues and friends who have joined us today on the 27th, when we are having our third episode in the Divorce Meditation. And I say again, Divorce Meditation, because it is an opportunity for mediators to reflect on the divorce process and possibly see the place or that mediation has in this journey that can enable the couple to have a more amicable or and even sometimes probably even support the couple and everyone else who's involved to have a more amicable relationship, whether it's through the divorce or even after, or even if they decide to still stay on together. Our discussion today is on the marriage assets, specifically the children, relationships, and property. And thank you, Reverend, for that introduction with regard to the context of the church. We invite Christine Kipsang, who's an advocate of the High Court, to now take us through what her thoughts are in this area. Christine Kipsang, you're welcome, and you have a presentation. You may kindly share it. Thank you. If you have any questions or comments, kindly please send them through the group chat, and it will be possible for Reverend and Christine Kipsang to be able to see them through the group chat and be able to respond to them as we are concluding. Christine Kipsang?
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hali ya Mombasa.
I'm trying to... Hello, good evening.
Good evening, yes.
I'm trying to share the screen. Just hold on a bit.
Okay, sure. So mediators and friends, as Christine Kipsang is setting up her presentation.
Please allow me. Yes, Wangari, please allow me to share the screen.
You can share. You are a co-host. You can be able to share your screen.
Okay, let me see.
And in case you have any problem, kindly just do a quick email.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, we have. I can see your screen. As Christine is setting up the screen so that we can be able to see it clearly. So ladies and gentlemen, we have been running the divorce meditations. This is the episode 3 of 3. Our first session was with Christine Kipsang to understand the law. And then we moved on to episode 2, which was focusing on the church with Reverend Geoffrey Njenga. And then this is our concluding session. Wonderful. This is our concluding session where we are combining the church and the legal or the law, so that we can be able as mediators to understand what is that process that couples do go through, and in that context then probably be able to discern and be able to just discuss together, how can we be a better support in this process? Is there something else we need to know? And if there is, then we can be able to see how we can learn more about it. We are still looking into how to be able to have sessions with the other, the Islamic and also Hindu, and so that we can also be able to understand what is the process of marriage in those two particular religions. And as soon as that is ready, we will be able to communicate that. Christine, your time. Thank you we can see the presentation very well now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wangari. And thank you, Reverend, for opening up this session. My topic is divorce, children, and property, because the two sessions we have had before, we talked about marriage. And when you are going to court, you file actually 3 different cases. You can file a case in the divorce court, you can file a case at the children's court, and also you can file a case at the family court for the property. So I will go straight to the presentation. And first of all, I'll start with the biblical perspective, because today we are focusing on the Christian marriage. The other time I looked at the 5 different types of marriages, but today we are focusing on the Christian marriage. So it's in order for me to start with the biblical perspective of marriage. So in the first place, marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. That is a word of God, and it's clear that each one of us is called upon to keep the marriage bed pure. What does that mean? When I started, I said that one of the reasons why marriage breakup is unfaithfulness. So if you're unfaithful to your partner, then you'll become sexually immoral, you'll defile the marriage bed, and God will be able to judge you for what you have done. In aspect of marriage, this husband and wife, and the Bible is telling us, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So the mandate of husbands is to love their wives. So most of the time you find when divorce is taking place, people have already exchanged a lot of violence, a lot of cruelty, insults, abuses, hate, frustrations, and many other things that come in way, just because somebody is not loving their wife. When it comes to wives, there's also a command that wives, submit yourselves to your husbands as you do to the Lord. So this is a command. You find most of the time also when somebody is not looking at the issue of dealing with how to manage their household, you find they're not, most of the time they're not submitting. And we'll look at the issue of submission later on. Then there's the issue of wealth within the family, and that the Bible clearly states that the blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. That means that God commands a blessing where there's a husband and wife, and these blessings come from the Lord. Sometimes people argue that I'm the one who did this, I'm the one who did that. But when you look at the whole scenario, it's God who blesses the work of your hands. He's the one who gives you the skill, the trade, and continues to increase. Because when you are getting married, maybe you don't have anything. But when you start together, you continue accumulating wealth that God blesses you. Again, you may find in a family, because we know we have different families. Some families are blessed with children, others are not. And the Bible tells us that children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him. We have seen arguments in court relating to children when people divorce each other because they have not had children, or even they divorce each other because they have certain type of children, maybe girls only or boys only, or children with born with disabilities. So we need to be reminded that children are heritage from the Lord and it's a reward from Him. Then in terms of biblical perspective about divorce, I found a verse which we have shared others, but this one came out applicable in this episode 3. It says that the man who hates and divorces his wife, says the Lord God of Israel, does violence to the one he should protect. Says the Lord God Almighty, so be on your guard and do not be unfaithful. So this is a command to the man that you should be able to protect your wife, you should be able to love your wife, you should not hate your wife. So it's a command, and you are also at the same time you are being warned to be on your guard and not to be unfaithful. Meaning that in this world, you'll find that people get to be unfaithful because they want to move away from their wives. Then when it comes to children, many a times we know that children are vulnerable because they depend on the mother and father. And you find that most people file cases at the children's court out of a way of trying to spite the other person. But the basic element that is always considered in the children's court is the fact that you are parents of this particular child or children. So the mother and father duties and obligations will not change just because you have taken somebody to court. That child will not be taken up by the court or any other person. We have seen interference where the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the brothers, the sisters, or even friends come to gang against one parent. But I'm reminding you this evening that parents to the child will not change, whether you file the case to court or not. And the court will always share the obligations and the duties that are required so that the child can have our rights preserved. So in children's court, you find that there are three main things that are taken into consideration. There's the issue of who will stay with the child. There was the issue of how will the child be maintained in terms of getting basic needs of food, shelter, medicine, education, clothing, entertainment, and what have you. So this consideration of custody and maintenance is one of the reasons why people take so long in court, because they do not want to pay for their child. So I think it's quite immoral or unfaithful for you to fail to pay for your own child just because you have had disagreement with the other parent. So you need to bear in mind that asking for custody is not a sin. Asking for maintenance from the other parent is not a sin. Asking for access, what we call unlimited access. If the one parent has a child during the weekday, then you need to have unlimited access over the weekend. So it's very important that we deal with the issue of custody, maintenance, and access as the orders that are given by the court with sober minds. Because these children, as you fight for them, you need to know that children have their own rights, and the court is there as a custody of enforcement to enforce those rights and to ensure that the children's rights are protected. I also want to remind our participants that children are not assets. You hear people saying, this is my son, this is my child, this is my daughter, I will not give you my daughter. But you need to be reminded that for a child to be born, the father and mother have to contribute part of their body contributions, you know what I mean, so that we can be able to have a child. So the fact that you are fighting and say, this is my son, this is my daughter, you need to bear in mind that children are not assets. And these are young human beings growing. And you will hurt their feelings when you go to the newspaper to display their photographs or share their stories, or even share stories with your relatives and other people. They are not interested. You need to protect your children because the children belong to you, both of you. So it's we have seen recently that the court has come up, especially in Mombasa, Tononoka Children's Court, we have the court annexed mediation program, whereby parents sit down with a mediator to actually frame the issues. Because people come with a lot of anger, with a lot of abuses, that will not help your case. What will help your case is you are understanding that as a parent, I want to provide the best education for my child. I want to provide the best shelter. the adequate nutrition, clothing, and anything else that I can do to the best of my ability. So it is very important when you are dealing with a case of custody maintenance case, you assess the emotional turmoil that the parents have gone through and actually frame the issues and come back to the issue of the three issues: custody, maintenance, and access, so that you can protect the rights of the children. Then the referent has already talked about marriage, but I'll touch on it. Marriage is God's idea, and for one to join in this institution, you need to have capacity. You know, in Kenya, a Christian marriage should be male and female coming together to become one. And that oneness, God is saying that it should be protected by love, trust, and faithfulness. And many a times people are attracted to one another without first asking themselves whether they are committed to God. So God is number one in marriage, so that you can be able to understand that God is the one who is going to guide you, because this journey, as you start as husband and wife, most of the time you do not know. So when you try and ask information from relatives and other people, sometimes you get people going astray because they do not understand what does the word of God say? What does the law of God say? How do I communicate with God? So the fact that I say that husband and wife, you need to have love and submission, brings a lot of trust. And you'll find that most marriages break when there's mistrust or when there's disrespect. So if you love God, you love yourself, and you love your partner, you'll be able to maintain your loving relationship, because one of the components of marriage is companionship. How will you be a good companion if you are not able to trust and love the person? How do you love? You make sure that you display the fruit of the Holy Spirit. You have love, you have joy, you have peace, you have patience, you have self-control, because you want to protect this institution. So most of the time you find that people get in, but now they start having like what we call fairy tales about marriage. But we need to understand that if each one of us understand what is marriage and what should be done in a marriage, the number of divorce cases or the number of separations or the number of come-we-stay marriages that we see will reduce drastically by even 50%. Because most of the time is the fact that somebody is having another side hustle, or in terms of another companionship. It's what deflates the marriage institution, and then you find now this disagreement, and those ends up going to court. The issue of marriage also, there's the children who come later. In law, we call the issues of marriage. So you find that when children come, some people drift from their partner, and they now give more attention to the children. So when a person comes to a lawyer, you find that the lawyer is keenly listening to the story and able to understand and pick the points, or to see where this problem started. And you can, so most of the time you find parties saying, this is the first time I'm feeling like somebody has listened to me, because I've been denied the opportunity to be listened to because of 1, 2, 3. But when you look at it all, you'll find that it's the small things of paying attention to one another, being able to be attractive, being able to care for one another, and actually minding the person that always brings disagreements in the home. So children are used as a way of taking away the ability to concentrate on the other person. But in real sense, that person commitment is usually low. That's why they take children, and then they take the place of saying that the children have taken over their relationship, which is not true. In marriage also, there is, as I said, when you are young and you are getting married, most of the time you have no wealth. And we have had stories where somebody say, I got him and he had nothing. And now he's treating me like this because we are now up, we are wealthy. But you need to understand that from the word go, when you're quoting, you need to understand how to deal with the issue of wealth. Because if you get into discussions, you'll be able to understand how you want to create the wealth, how you want to share the wealth, and how you need to use it and not to be a trap. And most of the time you find wealth, when it starts increasing, there's a lot of disagreements, and that's where it calls for mediation so that you can be able to reconcile the parties. Of course, you can acquire movable and immovable properties through the initiative of one or the other. And we have seen when disagreements arise where parties are seeking separation or divorce, you find that just the fact that somebody, one of them initiated something, they say they were not happy, and it's usually because somebody wants to belittle the other person. So the fact that overlooking somebody's idea can bring a lot of disagreements, which can end up being a separation or divorce. So the other bit in marriage is a lot of pride. I've seen people have pay slips, and let me just share a bit. People who have pay slips somehow are proud compared to people who do housework or even farm work. So you find that the fact that somebody is going to the office, they now look down upon the other party because they are remaining at home, not understanding that even at home you manage the household, you manage the workers, you manage the dishes, you do a lot of housework that is also contributes to the well-being of the people who are going to work for a pay slip or getting money at the end of the month. So there's need for wisdom, and this comes with a lot of skills in listening. Because once you listen to the other party, you'll be able to understand one another. But once you find that you're not listening, then a lot of so you find that when it comes to law, sorry, I think I'm muted. Wangari, you have muted me.
Yeah, Christine, we hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, when it comes to the three petitions I've said, you can file a children matter, matrimonial matter, and divorce matter. You find the applicable law tries to regulate the actions that you did not do. And when I tell clients when they come, they get surprised. It's because most Kenyans do not understand the Constitution of Kenya. They don't read the Children's Act, the Marriage Act, the Matrimonial Property Act, the Lands Act, the Law of Succession, and even the company law, the law relating to circles, partnership, as what have you. So you find that those actions that you are undermining the other party, the law steps in to regulate that. Because I will tell you that the Marriage Act, for one, and the Constitution of Kenya says that parties to a marriage have equal rights and obligations. So if you're undermining the other person, thinking when you come to court is when you'll be able to get a upper hand or superior rights, there are no superior rights for you. You'll be able to find that it's the same thing that is applicable, where you treat the person with dignity. So when it comes to wealth, I got the Black Law Dictionary to look at the meaning, and it says that all material objects capable of satisfying human wants, desires, tastes, and having a value in exchange, and upon which labor has been expended, which have by such labor been either reclaimed from nature, extracted or gathered from the earth or sea, manufactured from raw materials, improved, adapted, or cultivated. And together with that, wealth brings honor and dignity. So you find that most of the time, as I said earlier, you find some people say, he has hurt my ego, he has lowered my dignity, he's affecting my self-esteem. Just, you know, the list is usually endless. But you find that the law, I've said the law comes to actually bring equity or equality and fairness. So, under Article 10 of the Constitution, you find that it defines what is one of the principles to be applied when cases come to court. So this, it defines human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, equal protection, equal benefit before the law, full and equal enjoyment of all rights and fundamental freedoms, and women and men have the right to equal treatment, right to equal opportunities in political, economic, cultural, and social spheres. What does that tell you? So if in a marriage, somebody is undermining your political understanding, it's undermining your economic empowerment, your cultural enjoyment, and your social spheres, when it comes to court, the court is able to correct by applying the law. So because if you look at the Constitution and still subsection 2 of the Article 10, it says state or person should not discriminate another person because of race, sex, pregnancy, marital status, health status, ethnic or social origin, color, age, disability, religion, conscience and belief, and culture, dress, language, or birth. What does this mean? If you are married, somebody should not discriminate you, because I just want to pick the issue of marital status, should not discriminate you because of marital status. The fact that you are married, it means you have capacity. You got into that institution with a capacity, but most of the time, when you read petitions, you find that people started undermining each other maybe by the 3rd year or the 4th year, and this brings a lot of disunity in the institution. So Article 41 and Article 260, it says that every person has a right to fair labor practices, fair remuneration, reasonable working conditions, form, join, participate in activities and programs of trade union, and go on strike. Why I brought this up is because from working is when you can be able to accumulate wealth. And you find that if one party does not, let's say, for example, has a problem at workplace and goes on strike, or there's something that he has joined a trade union and maybe the employer is not happy, when it comes to home front, you come home, then your partner may be very unhappy about it. But it is a right for you, you have a right for these fair labor practices that you are practicing out there, because you should not be able to be undermined at your workplace. So if you go on strike or something happens, when you come home, you find that most people do not understand. But if you had an understanding wife or understanding husband, you'll be able to understand that it is your right to go on strike, it is your right to form a trade union, it's your right to do this. And all that is, you are trying to protect the work environment so that you can be able to work effectively and hand the money that you are needed to accumulate with. So you find most of the time, if somebody goes on strike or he loses his job or something happens, the other partner is not happy. If people had understanding and wisdom and knowledge to know that these things happen and they happen for a reason, because if somebody feels undermined, they go for such things, then they need to understand so that they be understanding. You have seen marriages that break up just because somebody has lost a job, or there's a suspension at place of work, or other issues that go at the workplace. So it calls for a family to be very understanding when it comes to this issue. Of course, Article 216 defines who a person is and even includes a company or an association that is incorporated or unincorporated. And property includes any interest in and rights from land or permanent fixtures or improvement of land, goods, personal property, intellectual property, money, choices in action, and negotiable instruments. Most of the time you find divorces are about land, but you may find that you can have household goods, you can have intellectual property, you have money, but most of the time you find if somebody is going for a divorce, they hide most of the things like money or bank accounts and what have you. So it's good to be open in your marriage so that you can be able to share these things openly, because if you don't, by creating cocoons or creating secret accounts and what have you, it's what brings mistrust and ends up in court. And then everybody is able to hear the stories which we do not want to hear. So for wealth retention, each one of us need to work. Husband and wife, you need to work. And if I've seen vehicles like a company where you form a company, you can form a partnership, you can start a family business as a sole proprietor, you can have savings, and all this calls for record keeping, because we have seen people cry a lot in court because there was no record, or they claim the other person took the records or what have you. And it's very painful when somebody remembers that I was working hard and I didn't work to expect a divorce to happen. But yeah, you find that if there are no records, then this issue of one of the grounds that is taken is contribution. So you need to show that there was contribution, both indirect and indirect. And one of the issues that are looked for is contribution. When you are also accumulating wealth, you need to write wills, because we have seen what we call succession estate planning requires that we need to plan well so that we don't have so many cases or disagreements or disputes spilling over to court. Matrimonial home and property management is also a consideration that is catered for the court so that we can be able to protect the wealth. And this, like Reverend said, when you are fighting about matrimonial property or home, it doesn't help when the whole world knows what is happening. You can be able to agree, because this property, as we say, we saw is material objects that will ensnare you or bring pride, and yet you can be able to agree as husband and wife without publishing a lot of things through litigation by just going to a mediator. There's childcare, farm work, and family business management that is also considered when looking at the issue of what is contribution and what is to be retained as a family. I'm about to finish. Then when it comes to divorce matters, you find people want to put everything because they now feel that they have gotten an opportunity to be heard. So as a way of reducing the number of matters that can be brought as part of divorce matters, is to find a day. I'm sure a counselor will agree with me. Find a day when you can be able to talk out issues with your partner, as in a day where you discuss a lot of things. Because if you do not do it, there is a lot of suspicion. Because matrimonial property issues, you find the stories you get there, they are almost similar, because people are frustrated, or they do not have information, or the information they have, they are half-truths. So when the truth comes out in court is when somebody says, finally, I've got to know what has happened in this. So it's important that we listen to one another, then we can be able to reduce the number of matrimonial proceedings. And even with the matters which are pending in court, then they can still go for mediation, where parties can resolve the issues, because it is easier than going through the litigation way where the matters are published. Then there's issue of the children's court. As I said, you don't have to dramatize children matters, because these are young human beings who are growing and that needs a lot of protection. So mediation services is the recommendation I'm giving, so that we can be able to look at the issues of family wealth through the support systems that is there, especially mediation way. So thank you for listening, and good evening.
Good evening, Christine. I see Reverend Njenga giving you a thumbs up. I don't know whether he's trying to say that he has now crossed over to your side, or he's saying he has seen that he has converted you. So Reverend Njenga, you probably can tell us whether you have been converted, or you see you have converted her, or you're now seeing there's how the two of you can connect together.
Did you see the confluence?
Okay. Yeah.
She went right to where I stopped.
Okay, okay. I can see you guys had prepped together in your separate ways.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah.
Okay.
I have seen a few questions, and I would want to make a few comments, I think, before
Yes.
you close.
Yes, allow me to run through. I will now take this opportunity to be able to run through I'll take the opportunity to run through the questions and comments there. But firstly, and this is a question that came to us earlier in quite a number of different ways. So firstly, there was comments that when it comes to matters of family, marriage, and divorce separation, it is very clear that there is a need for a multi-professional approach support towards this. It's the comments were, it's not a church affair, it's not a legal affair only. It seems like it's multi-professional or multi persons who are needed. And I think that's the confluence that Reverend Njenga, you're pointing out to. Then a very clear question that has come in is, does the church divorce people? And then number two, the church is known to marry people. And then when they are divorcing, or when they're now breaking that marriage, then they're known to go to the court. So does this mean that the church has delegated responsibility to the courts? So this is to the two of you. So firstly, to Reverend, does the church grant divorce? Then now we will come to the second part of it, which is to both of you, so that we can hear your views. So the church marries people, and then when they are now separating or divorcing, they go to the court. So did the church delegate? Did the church, actually the point that came was, did the church pass on the sheep onto the wolves? That was how it was raised on. So Reverend, kindly, thank you.
No, not really. There's no delegation at all. Remember, I said, when you stand before the priest and the congregation and before God, you say, you will hang on together for better, for worse, in sickness, everything. And you say you give everything. From the church's perspective, there's no option. There's no divorce is not an option. And the reason is clear. We say we serve a big God, God who is able to do abundantly, exceedingly, much more than we could ask. Now, I therefore would want the couple, and it is the two, to honestly open up whatever issue they are fighting about and take them to God if they believe in God and ask him to heal. He is able to do that. From the church's perspective, therefore, God hates divorce. We are not, you choose to go there in court and wherever else to get it, but the church does not condone divorce. Is it a reality? Of course it is. If you go and get it out there, someone said in the last session that we had, God hates divorce, but loves the people who are divorced or the victims of divorce. So the church is about building, and when you come together and say, I do, the heavens say, we agree. It does not mean that the church is forcing you to stay there, but if you're looking for that other option, if you're looking for, if you're going through the crisis, as a priest, I want to help you go through this crisis somehow, keeping within the confines of that marriage, because that is what God would want me to do. But I'm realistic enough to know that I don't need to reject you because you've gone through that. Well, we are not delegating it to the lower courts. Is it the time to make other comments and answer a few other questions, or you'll give me time after?
Yes, allow us to hear from Christine on the same, and then we can be able to run through the comments. Yes, Christine, kindly.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question which has been answered, but answered partly by Reverend. I wanted to just chip in a bit. I wanted to say, maybe it has not come clearly. I wanted to say that if okay, let me put Kenyans. If Kenyans who are married through the Christian way listen to one another, we will not have Christian divorces in court. Sometimes I really get embarrassed in court because this person I know, they come to church, but they are not come to me, but they have gone to another person just because they want the divorce. And they, I know the effects of divorce on children, on the parties who are divorced, because divorce is a loss. It's a grieving. You grieve a lot, even if it's like the way you cannot tear something apart without hurting the other person. So it is important to know that if you listen to one another, there's nothing as good as saying, I am sorry, and please forgive me, or thank you for bringing me this bread. As in those small things, we take them for granted, because other people run, what we say, number one is adultery, where you run away to another person, maybe a secretary or whatever. It's because they are affirming you. They say you are nice, you look wonderful, let's go to gym together. As in you are doing those small things you used to do with your partner, that now this other person is taking over. So before that person takes over, why don't you take over? Retake it again. Say take over and retake over. So you need to understand that if you listen to your partner, there is no better person than the person who was blessed with you in the church. Because we should not have, I'm actually a great advocate for no Christian divorce in the court, because you are taking issues that should not be taken to the court, to the court where there are no Christians to advise you. Because if you read, there are so many verses about children, about wealth, about marriage, about general living, that you believe that God is the one in control of your life. So if you do, then you can be able to say, I am sorry, let's get back to the track again. So it's not like we are calling people to go to the divorce court. No, we are saying you can say, I am sorry, and then you resolve the issue. Because even at the courts, when you come to the courts, by the way, it's usually like pin drop silence in court when it's a divorce matter. Because somebody wants the court to write it and get it right, and even he doesn't want to miss a point, and even where they are not understood, they repeat again. The same thing would be happening at home if you are listening to your partner like that. But sometimes it's like, before even the partner finishes a sentence, umemurukia. You have tried to close the person up, or you have cut him out, and you want to actually say what the person wants to say. What are we saying in short? Let's listen to one another, because you are made to be for that one person. Because if you undermine the other person, you will end up going to court, and there is a lot, because the media will pick up the case, and the next thing you'll find it in the newspaper at Standard and what have you. Let's avoid it as Christians. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Njenga. Thank you very much, Christine. Kindly allow me to run through the chat just so that we are together. I will make a request that you both kindly pick the issues raised, and you can each address them in a summary of 3 minutes each. So we have comments from, let's see, we have, okay, Edwin Apacha, who's happy to be here with us, and Edwin, we're happy to have you. And Edwin says, true, there is no need for shredding and ridiculing each other in public. Mediation is a better option. And that brings me to the question, so why then, how comes then couples do not come straight to the mediation chambers? They do go to other options. Then Florence Muya says, thank you, glad to be part of this session. Mohammed Said, who's a young mediator, says, nice presentation and beneficial. We'll be hearing from him later. Winnie Chepkemoi asks, what do you do if one party does not want mediation at all? Jane Amiri, thank you, Reverend Njenga, for your presentation. Indeed, mediation is the way to go. for conflict. Asante sana. Wairimo N, thank you, Reverend. A great presentation. Mediation is a way to go for preservation of relationships, and they can share with the mediator in a private caucus. Will the notes be shared? The recording will be made available. We'll share the email address. You can make a request to receive the recording. That's if you're not on the Kenya Mediators WhatsApp group, and also we'll share the details here. Then Esther Kinangoi asks, what happens when the other party has already remarried and has a child, when the divorce case has not even been ruled, yet they are the ones who filed for the divorce? Then the next inquiry we have, or comment we have, is thank you for the comments and questions through the chat, so let's keep them there. Then Anreed Kamunde, I am a mediator. I feel we should we need an analysis so as to save marriage. Prevention is better than cure. Education on what is family. Then Christine Wairimo, thank you, Christine, on your, Wairimo N. Thank you, Christine, for your presentation, well articulated. Florence Muya asks, have worked with ladies who ensured their pay slips remain under key and lock in their office drawers. Okay. Christine, in Kipsang, in your presentation, you did mention that it's important that people are open to each other. So I believe that from Florence Muya, the question there is, so what then happens in this situation when you have pay slips and also some assets which are under lock and key? Then from Wairimo N, how would you assist a lady whose husband has walked off from his matrimonial home and started another family without divorcing his wife? The lady tried to resolve the marital issues through the church leadership, but her husband has never shown up. Between them, they have 2 minors in their teens. Then we have Joyce. What is the place of divorcees in the church and how well is this communicated? That is straight up to Reverend Njenga. Then Morgan Omusundi, has the church put forth a bigger wall between a perfect marriage and the problem in it? Okay. That's to Reverend. Then Julie Wanjohi comments, mediation, listening, and documents is key. Then Jane Amiri, to avoid divorce, the society is required. Then, okay, Edwin Apacha to be added to the WhatsApp, the Kenya Mediators WhatsApp group. We'll be sending the details on the link. They'll be sent on the group. Then Jane Amiri actually clarifies, to avoid divorce, the society should end male supremacy. Then Anreed Kamunde says we need to follow God's order. Quite a mouthful, and that I will request that Reverend Njenga, you please speak on a number of them that are straight up in your docket in 3 minutes, and Christine Kipsang in 3 minutes, which will allow us to end in the next 10 minutes. Kindly, Reverend.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me say this. The perfect marriage is only for those who are not married. There's nothing like perfect marriage. And I think in church, we ought to be drumming that message over and over. It is one beggar helping another beggar find bread. There's no perfect marriage. So if you are not married, perhaps you might think there is. There isn't. Any marriage and every marriage will have its own challenges. The thing is, you must be willing to learn together. Now, how about the divorcees in church? And it is related to that question. We stigmatize and reject people who have gone through tough times like divorce. It is wrong. Remember, God hates divorce, but loves the divorcee. God hates divorce, but will not reject you. The church ought not to stigmatize people who have gone through this tough thing called divorce. They are hurting. Christine said they are grieving, they are mourning, and we need to embrace them and bring them close to help them. So there is no room for creating stigma against those people who have been who have gone through that difficult time. Just like we take care of people who have gone through other tough situations, we need to reach out to those people who have gone through divorce and allow them to serve where they can. They do not stop singing because, or their voice does not die because they were divorced. If they were singing, create room for them to be useful in church. There is no point in trying to ostracize them or reject them. then there's a lady who whose husband has run away and has gotten married. This is not easy. It is difficult, but again, through mediation, it's possible to somehow find a working solution. And I don't know what right now because I don't have the details. But remember, it takes two to tango. So if you're going to heal that situation, no matter how difficult it is to get the two together, that ought to be, you ought to work at that and try to bring the two people to solve their problem. And there are many options and things that can be worked out when people come together. And the same question, there is a similar question about the husband who would refuse to come to mediation. You see, mediation is relatively new. We've been told for the longest time that the place to go for solution is in court. And that is known very well by people in this country and I think beyond. We need to promote mediation and help people understand and get the right information about mediation. So a professional mediator can help to reach out to the party who is unwilling to come. I have been involved in that recently. The lady was willing, the man was not willing, and I engaged him. It took a bit of time for him to say, I am ready now to come and meet. Now, what should I say therefore? Let me say this in conclusion, the essence of life is relationship. It is not material. It is not all the things we spend our time fighting. It is not about what I call toys and trinkets. You will leave them. In fact, you will live naked. And even if they dressed you, it really wouldn't matter. The essence of time of life is relationship. I would urge you to try and build that relationship. And always remember the Vono bed. And some of you may not relate with that. It was a little bed with a metal frame, which was the beginning of most marriages. You began there. And when you came on, it was very tiny, but that's all you had at the beginning, and you are happy. Now you have that bed, when you slept on it, it collapsed and held you together. Remember that, and you are happy as you ate ugali with cabbage then, so everything was white. Relationship, build that relationship, no matter where you are at this point. The main thing, and this is my conclusion, the main reason why we need to go to mediation is because mediation deals with issues and it also deals with emotions. Most of the problems in marriage that lead to failure are about emotions. The court is not interested in your emotions whatsoever. But in mediation, you have a chance to express yourself and deal with those hurting, deadly emotions that have collected in your heart. So we'll deal with emotions and deal with issues. I think I've said enough, Wangari. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for running through the inquiries and the questions. And something very important that you have pointed out is that mediation deals with the issues and the emotions. Thank you for that. Christine, we may kindly hear from you. Please run through the ones that are very specific to you. Thank you.
Yes, I saw the one dealing with the person who has run away and they have not yet divorced. I would say that that's a case of adultery, but also the fact that once you file a divorce petition, it takes a long time. Like now, let's say, for example, somebody filed a divorce in January and this COVID came in, so they are suffering and the other person is going on with their life as usual. So sometimes when you file a matter in court, intervening circumstances come in and you may suffer as a result because of the delay in hearing and determining the matter. So, but better still, if you you see your lawyer, you can be able to see what additional documents you can put so that you can be able to and then when it comes to issue of rejection, I always say this and people get surprised that I've dealt with so many divorce matters. I've come to realize that nobody wants to be rejected by their partner, especially when they came together at their youth. People fear rejection. There's a lot of fear for rejection. So the fact that the person wants to run and go start another family, they're like, they don't want to be rejected by the other person. And so they are caught in between. They don't want to leave this one. At the same time, they don't want to stop undertaking whatever side activity they're undertaking. So you find the fear of rejection is the one which brings the person to be like in a crossroad, which we are saying that if you are able to talk it out, you'll be able to come to a conclusion that you can resolve the matter easily through mediation. Somebody has said, why do you go to a court instead of going first to mediation chambers? It's because that in Kenya, divorce, you have to file it in court. There's no divorce by consent, as like in UK and other jurisdictions which are developed. You find in Kenya, you have to file a petition. The other person has to be given an opportunity to respond to it, and you battle it out in court. That's why you find that there are a lot of details, because somebody will say some facts that are not true, and then you are given an opportunity to respond, and it may take a while to write everything down. But once what we call clause of pleadings take place, then you can be able to have the matter referred for mediation through the court annexed mediation. And mediators now, there are many. I'm sure we will have a lot of work when the courts open up, because mediators, we are ready to take all the matters which have been filed in court and resolve them, be it children matters and divorce matters, where we frame out the issues and maybe leave one or two issues for the court to determine. And then matrimonial property, we can file agreements that deal with that. Finally, I want to end with a story because I've seen that comment where somebody said that a lady was hiding pay slips in the drawer and what have you. Let me tell you, it does not help. Actually, I have two stories. So the first one, it relates to a man who is faithful. This man, I've known him for like 20 years, and from the moment he started getting a salary, they agreed the wife is to do housework. We said housework. So they agreed he'll give him 25% of his income, and he was running a business. So can you imagine if, like, for the first year he got 100,000, he gave her 25,000, and the lady has been faithful, because from the 25% she's getting every month, they are able to build empires. And the more he trusts the lady, the more they get to be wealthy, and they have even a foundation where they are able to give to the less fortunate, and they work together in that manner. So can you imagine, even if he gets 10 million or 100 million, he gives her 25%. And that way, as you grow your career this way, or your business that way, even in the home front, the management is super. So if you work in partnership, you will find that there's harmony and peace at home. The other story I would like to end is also the story of a person who told me since they were married, they have never been slapped by their partner. They have never been quarreled by their partner. The partner trusts them fully. Why? Every time they say it's family time, they sit down and agree, what are we planning? And everything in black and white, everything is written, because it does not help you to hide the pay slips or the bank accounts. And then maybe, God forbid, you die. And then, like one case where I got pro bono through FIDA, I found that we could not trace anything because the person died and we cannot get any document. And the wife came and said, I don't know, I don't know where the account is. I don't know where the businesses are. I don't know where the plots are. So what are we supposed to do? So it's important that you trust your partner more than anybody else outside your home. Be it your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your relatives, whoever. Just trust your wife and work together. Because mistrust is one which says that you do not trust me, then I'm not your friend, and what have you. So let's be friends, let's trust one another, and then we'll resolve all those pending disputes in court through mediation, or reduce the hostilities so that we can be able to move on as Kenyans in a peaceful society. Because right now there is a lot of hostilities around families. May God bless you. Thank you.
Okay. Christine, I wish to thank you for your remarks, which have allowed us to be able to see that on the other side, it's not as, probably for some people, maybe they were thinking, it's not as criminal as we may have been thinking, that the lawyers who are out there are not pro-family. I think that's just one of the great things that having the opportunity to be in this discussion with yourself. And then also hearing also from the church, it has helped us to get it that the church, yes, is journeying with human beings, and the church recognizes that it's journeying with human beings, and it's ready and willing to be able to journey with the families that we have. As we get to the closing, I'd like to invite Mohammed Said to kindly give us a remark, and Susan Wendot. Mohammed Said and Susan Wendot, kindly.
Okay, thanks a lot. How are you all? I would like to thank our guests for their wonderful presentation, Reverend Geoffrey Njenga and Advocate Christine. It was very wonderful, and we benefited a lot. I personally benefited a lot from many points. And from what I would like to add is, apart from the bitter split up that happen in marriages, sometimes the partner will continue the split up and bitterness to the children. You know, sometimes one of the children, because the court decision are black and white, so most of the case may go to one couple rather than the other ones, and the one couple, like the mother or the father, will continue that bitterness to the children and inherit them, like trying to paint the bad image of the husband or the father. And the father also, if he has the children, he tries to paint the bad pictures or the bad picture of the mother. And that's become a cycle of hatred in the family, and a cycle of hatred in generation and generation. So due to that, mediation can help a lot, because as Reverend Njenga, he says that mediation deals with emotions. So we look at the underlying issues. Most of the case, if the underlying issues are solved, you know, these we call them like the stands that people take. Oh, they're just stands, but behind them we can see that there are underlying issues that causes them to take that stand. So if we can reveal those underlying issues and to try to discuss on and try to solve those underlying issues, there may be an amicable solution. So that is my contribution, and thanks a lot. I've benefited a lot from the discussion, and I hope to hear from others. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. June is our Young Mediators Month, and so our young mediators, including Mohammed and others who are also on the call, have been very active with us, including at the just ended on Thursday. We held a full day symposium from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they were really the backbone of the symposium. We thank them for that great support, especially during this month of June, which is the Young Mediators Month. Mediator Susan Wendot, who heads our Family Wealth Mediation team, you may kindly give your remarks.
Thank you so much, Wangari. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Christine. It was an insightful discussion. Maybe I've made a comment. Maybe the beginning of mediation in a marriage should be right from the time of pre-marital counseling. Because when going through, I was given a chance by my pastor one time to take through a couple during a premarital session. And you could tell there were some differences right from the word go before even they went into the marriage. And I'm sure Reverend can attest to that, that he comes through that every time. So we need to maybe start at the time of premarital, then go now to the marriage, which I believe should be something that we need to do earlier than before a problem comes up. Just the way in medical, we are told prevention is better than cure. So maybe we need to have a preventive mediation if there is something like that, so that cases do not go to the point of going to court. And as you said, because there is no one who is perfect, so there are no perfect marriages. It's only God who makes it perfect. And maybe for us, we just have to do a few things to make it work. I wrote in my comment that we have to make a choice to fight for our marriages to work, by all means.
That's correct.
And maybe there are a few things which I'm thinking if couples could do, that you have to be optimistic in your marriage. You have to be positive. Maybe when you have differences, you need to negotiate.
Okay, yes, so when you have differences, you need to negotiate. That is where Susan Wendot has what she has commented. Susan Wendot, are you still speaking? Okay.
I think she dropped or something.
Yes, okay. Now, allow me to please just look through the comments that, yes, Susan Wendot indicated, thank you, Reverend and Christine. Couples need to make a choice to fight for their marriage to succeed. Maybe there is a need for mediation right from the point of premarital counseling, which is actually what Susan started on. And Wairimo says, I concur, Susan, for the couples to know their interests, needs, wants, goals from the union. And I also see from Margaret Ngatia, thank you, Reverend, couples should avoid litigation and consider mediation. A marriage is worth fighting for by talking out issues. Allow me for 1 minute to please go back to Mohammed Said with just his quick comment on Islamic marriage and divorce in 1 minute. And as I pointed out, this will be a discussion for a subsequent session. Mohammed Said, you may just give us in 1 minute your comment, kindly. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. In Islamic marriage, we look at the issue of parents. Like if there is kind of divorce, first they are supposed, the couples need to support either side of the parents. Like the mother or the wife has to call their her family, and the husband has also to call his family. They try to negotiate the problem among themselves before calling it out to the public. So they are supposed to discuss it by themselves first, try to find solution. They can call an elder person from this family and the elder person from that family, and they try to explain their problems and what the solution they can propose. And after that, you can say is a process after process. We don't go directly to divorce. There must be some these steps that a couple have to take first before they divorce. That's one thing. And maybe after sometimes, like also when a man divorces his wife, there is a time we call it Eda, whereby is a time whereby the wife remains at home, and she's probably like a like she's not divorced completely. And that time is given for the wife and the husband to think over their decision. Maybe they have taken the divorce out of emotions. So they have been given like 4 months. So after that 4 months, that the wife is able to marry, to be remarried to another husband, and the husband is also able to marry another wife. So there is this a lapsing period whereby we call it a rethinking period before the end conclusion or the decision that they may take completely to get out of the marriage. So that's the general Islamic perspective.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Mohammed, for sharing with us that perspective. But Susan Mendot, I see you're back. You can kindly conclude your message. Yes.
Yes, sorry for getting lost. So I was saying we need, couples need to keep negotiating their differences and putting everything on the table. And finally, being real in their marriage so that they are not pretending, because where I was before I went up was, the differences come because of unmet expectations, that the lady or the man comes with some expectation of some level. Then if that expectation is not met, that's when the differences come. So maybe we need to be real. And finally, I think mediation is the way. No marriage should reach the courts. And maybe a challenge to Reverend, maybe these are issues we should be talking to our congregations in the church, discussing during married couples how people should be able to sort their issues so that they don't wash dirty linen in the public. Like there's one I was discussing with Sela today, that this is an old man and the case is in court. It's quite embarrassing for us as a community. So maybe we need to avoid reaching court. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reverend Christine, for the discussions. We wish everyone God's blessings and a blessed night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Susan, for your vote of thanks and also together with your message. And I think you have thrown a ball at Reverend, which by next year, same time, we probably hope to hear what has happened based on the ball you've tossed to him and the church. In closing, Joyce has sent in a remark saying that marriages do not work. The partners work on the marriage. It's an intentional endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining us here today. Christine Kipsang, it's been a great joy for us to have journeyed with you through the divorce meditation. We have the recordings for the sessions, so in case you have not received the recordings, please, we have already posted on the chat the email address by which you may be able to reach the WASILIANAHUB team to be able to receive the recordings, or through the Kenya Mediators WhatsApp group. And then the Reverend Njenga, thank you for spending time with us. You've also spent 2 sessions with us, and we are grateful, we are thankful for you allowing us to spend time with you. This divorce meditation inquiry came about as our Family Wealth Mediation team, which is our first pillar as part of our Strategy 2020. It has been looking into what are the issues or which are the areas that families are dealing with when it comes to the areas of family wealth and the aspect of, so when couples are either separating or divorcing, then how do they handle the wealth and what is important to them. That's where this whole discussion did come in. So I thank you for expanding our thoughts, and especially because we know that mediators do handle these matters. If you're at the courts or you're handling them in one of the panels that you're in, that is a family panel, we know that you're dealing with couples who have come because either they have separated, whether they are legally married or are not yet married, but they have children. We hope that these sessions have been insightful to enable you to do your work better. The request that we have received following these sessions is with regard to being able to do mock role plays and also being able to have support in drafting of mediation agreements, especially as they get more complex depending on what the couple is handling, or probably even sometimes the quantum of even like the property or the complexity of children with regard to them, their ages being at different levels, so that we will pass on to the Family Wealth Mediation team to look and see how we can get that support through these Zoom sessions. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining us. Wanjiru, Reverend Njenga, you had said that she would be giving us a song. So as you can see, we are all she's saying that actually Reverend Njenga is a better singer than she is. So because we are just moving into Reverend Njenga being able to give us the closing blessings. So Reverend Njenga, we are on to you, and if Wanjiru is in a position to give us that song that you know of, we'd be delighted. But in the meantime, Reverend Njenga, please give us our closing blessings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me say this. I believe strongly in the institution of marriage, very strongly. And if somebody needs help, Wangari will give you my number. You can call me. I'll help the best way I know how. I want to thank Mohammed for giving that insight about the Islamic way of doing things by giving people time to think. I will encourage anybody who is thinking of divorce and destroying their marriage to take time to think and consult someone who can help you. I also said that God is the creator, the initiator of marriage. So you can talk to him and he would tell you what to do to resolve the problems in marriage. And in conclusion, I want to read a psalm that helps us to go where we will get help. And this is what it says: I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life and your marriage. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. And all God's people said, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend. If that is, thank you very much for giving us the psalm for today, which we do go with. That is from Psalms 121. I lift up my eyes to the mountains, where will my help come from? Very ideal even at this time, because also in our families, we are in very unique situations in our professions, in our work during this COVID season. And that is a very encouraging message. We may receive your blessings, Reverend, as we do take the night in addition to the psalm. Or and the psalm is the blessing for today?
No, I will give you the blessings. May the Lord watch over you. May the Lord lead you in all right ways and scatter the darkness from before your path. And the blessings of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you now and forevermore. May you go your way rejoicing and have a peaceful night. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a good night. It was a great joy to have journeyed with you over the 3 sessions that we have held. And as I wish you good night, I say once again, thank you, Reverend Njenga. Thank you, Christine Kipsang, and may we have a good night. God bless you. Thank you for the time. Goodbye. Goodbye.